Alright, so the Q&A that I started 6 days ago, I'm finally going to answer some questions here. The first question is from Agent Orange. One quick exercise to get a better grip or feeling for the tonal intervals. And if you don't know what he means by tonal intervals, it's basically, let's take a major scale. So the intervals here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. And that's the best way to get a really good grip on these and really learn it is to use solfege, and in particular movable dough solfege. And I directed him to my website, and you can check the answer out on my Instagram. And go to my website basically and read that blog post, because I think that explains it way better than I can do here. But movable dough solfege is by far the best ear training method I've ever come across. So, question after that, let's see. Favorite pick and strings. Well, favorite picks are these picks by Mathis Guitars, and I have a link in my bio to them. And they're really the best picks I've tried so far, and I don't intend to switch anytime soon. So it's like a perfect mix between the regular Jazz 3 from Dunlop and a slightly bigger pick. And I also like the material, it's a bit softer, so I feel I don't get as much clicking sound that I would get from like a harder material. So I like that. So check those out for sure. Mathis guitar picks, basically. Or Mathis Guitars. You have the link in my bio. So, and I'm sponsored by him, but that just means that I get free picks. So if I thought the picks sucked, I would never ever, want to be sponsored by it. But what's the point of getting something that's pretty inexpensive if you don't like them? So I truly stand behind these picks. So check them out. The next one, biggest inspiration when it comes to guitar technique. For me, it's not necessarily about speed. It's also, I like that of course, but it's also the way that it sounds when people play fast. And for me, I think it's like when early Yngwie from like 83 to up until his car accident, and also a bit after that as well. Had some good records during the 90s. But when he's really on and his picking is really on point, it's just beautiful to listen to. So Yngwie for sure, for the tone. Love Eric Johnson's tone as well. Other than that, I love Tom Quayle's sound when he plays legato. Brett Garsett as well. I think Frank Gambale has a really amazing technique. I don't really do 8-finger tapping, but I think the by far the best 8-finger tapper I've ever come across is TJ Helmerich, and he was my teacher. Well, he was a teacher at GIT, and I've, as much as possible, I was in his open counseling room. So he's amazing, and he doesn't use any fret rep and anything, and he just improvises with 8-finger tapping. So just crazy good with that stuff. Besides that, I don't know. I think that's, like I said, it's not necessarily about the speed for me. It's that each note sounds really good as well. It's like listening to Itzhak Perlman or Hilary Hahn or something like that, or somebody like that, where it's just beautiful. Every note is beautiful. So not necessarily about how many notes per second. All right, so from Alex here, what's your best advice to develop hand synchronization for alternate picking? I'm stuck at around 100 BPMs with 16th learning sold from Highway Star, Deep Purple, which is 176 BPMs. How do I get to 176? Well, I haven't heard you play, but if you're stuck at 100 BPMs, I wouldn't practice at that tempo. I would practice way slower. Because the way that I look at it is like, this is perfectly synchronized, right? This sort of illustrates that. And if you're playing at the 100 BPMs, and that's like the edge of your abilities, most likely your synchronization is going to be a bit skewed. a bit off kilter here. And our brain is just basically observing what you keep repeating, and that's, you know, the more you repeat that, the more you're going to get you're going to get the same results. So you really want to build the habit of perfect synchronization. So I would actually practice at maybe half that tempo and really make sure to play quick transitions instead of trying to be like at whatever tempo you're at, where it's like, well, actually you set the tempo now, but and try to push that. So I would do that a lot, and then I would also spend the time as close to the end, you know, the 176 tempo, and try to go for speed bursts. And speed bursts is basically where you keep the tempo high, but you change the other variable to get every note perfect. So you start with just 2 notes, right? So you just go. And then when you can do that, and it's important to pause in between. So when you can do that, you add the 3rd note, and then you add the 4th note, and then the 5th, and so on. So basically, instead of raising the tempo, you just raise the amount of notes you play, but keep the tempo the same. And both of these methods have the same thing in common. You're trying to go for that really perfect synchronization. So that's my best advice for this stuff. So for me, it's never really worked to do the start at 60 BPM and work up, you know, by 2 BPMs per day or something. Because I think once you get up to a tempo where you start rubbing against your fastest speed, you're going to get into that sort of off-kilter zone, and then you're not going to improve your synchronization anymore. So I would definitely try that instead. All right? And of course I have a ton of stuff like this on Patreon where, you know, even more specific advice. Okay, next question. What's the first solo that you ever learned? Actually, it's this one. That's pretty much all I remember, but it's Nothing Else Matters solo by Metallica. And just remembering having the tab book of the Black Album and just looking at it and trying to decipher, you know, what the fuck bends are and all that stuff. So, and Kirk Hammett was my favorite guitar player back then, but ironically, I didn't know that it was actually James that played this solo. But that was the first solo that I actually learned. Yeah, let's see. Question from, let's see, Swan. Do you keep your hand resting on the bridge or away from the bridge? What is your view of getting your song on different sources and making them popular? Well, first question, depends on if I want to get a really muted sound or if I want a more open sound. I tend to like an open sound as well for picking, as well as more muted stuff. So it depends on the phrase. So I do both, but I definitely rest my hand on the strings anyway, so I can mute the other strings, because if you do this, you tend to ring out a lot, and you know no one wants to hear that. So, but in general, I don't mute that much for when it comes to the actual notes. And as far as getting your song on different sources and making it popular, well, I don't know. Actually, I guess being really active on social media could help, but if the song sucks, that won't help either. So I would focus as much as possible on making really good music, and that's really good music to you, because you can't really try to make music that other people would like to listen to. In my opinion, you need to do whatever you would like to listen to, and then whatever happens. But I'm not the right guy to ask about this, so maybe ask John Mayer or somebody, right? Let's see, next one. K20 Sedancy. John, what exercises can you recommend for 3 note strings in groups of 6? I'm having trouble breaking 120 BPMs. I can only do it some days and not every day. And also having trouble accenting the first note every 6 and feeling the groove internally. Thank you, sir. Well, basically the same answer as the guy before with the highway star stuff. Practice really slowly. And then try speed bursts. And that's really, in a nutshell, the best advice. And there's some details other than that as well that you can check out on my Patreon. But I'm not saying that to try to give you the impression that it's like a big secret or anything. But it's just a matter of getting as many perfect repetitions as possible, because our brains are really slow to learn this stuff. But once you learn it, it really sticks in there. I have a crazy week this week, so I had a ton of Skype lessons, but I haven't really practiced guitar a lot, so I can still play, but that's just because of building that habit of good synchronization. So even though I feel like my chops are way down this week, it still works, and that's out of my control basically. It's just that I've done the work to get to this point, and everybody can do that. But I think most of the people that have problems with their technique are doing it the wrong way. They keep pushing it, and they try to keep it, super fast, and they sort of fixate on a certain tempo, and I think that can be really counterproductive. So I would really try that method of playing really slowly with quick transitions between the notes. That's really important to get a good synchronized feel as well, and also doing that speed burst stuff. And a final thing here is that try doing the speed burst stuff first, so you can get an idea of how your right hand should move when you play it faster, and then you sort of reverse engineer that so you use a similar motion when you slow it down. That's also really important, and also one of the sort of problems with that start at 60 and keep raising the tempo on the metronome is that you can start at 60 and you can get away with a lot of different movements that would never work at a faster pace, and then once you've done a ton of repetitions and you start hitting that ceiling, you sort of back yourself into a corner because you basically worked on a motion that doesn't really work. So I think this speed burst stuff is really, really helpful. And you only really need to play, 3, 4, 5 notes to get an idea of how your right hand should, how it moves, right? So you don't really need more notes than that to be able to reverse engineer it. So that's really important. Yeah, I think that's all of them, actually. So thanks again for the questions, and sorry about the delay. Again, it's been a super crazy week, and sorry for my shitty playing here. But it is what it is. So hopefully you got something out of this, and see you in the next Q&A.